Hello everyone, welcome back to Colin's Code. Today we are going to build a web component using lit element. And so a web component is a HTML tag, a custom HTML tag, where you can basically put HTML code, JavaScript, and CSS all into one HTML tag, and then reuse those HTML tags. Yeah, let's get into how we're going to actually build this. So make sure you have node.js. That's going to include npm, which is the node package manager. So you can get this for Windows, Mac, or Linux. I'm on Linux right now. So in the description, you'll see this lit element demo. This will have all the code and some instructions here. So in the README, if you're on Linux or Mac, you're going to want to change the ownership of the user or the node modules, and make sure it's you are the owner. So you can actually replace this with your username, or just use that. You use the environmental variable, and then you're going to want to install Polymer CLI. This should not say sudo. I got to get rid of that. Just do npm install -g Polymer CLI, and then we're going to install lit element in the current directory. So I already have Polymer CLI. This is going to be like a global package, but lit element is going to be specific for the current your current project. And then you can use Polymer serve to actually serve your lit element project locally. So yeah, let's get started here. I have a directory that I just created. There's nothing in it. So we'll do npm install lit element. So this is going to go out, pick up lit element. Now we have our node modules and a package JSON. And then I'm going to open up my code editor, VS Code, and we are going to begin coding out a web component. So you're going to need an index.html. Can't type. There we go. And then you are also going to need a JavaScript file, and we're going to be creating project cards. So good for a portfolio website. Let's start with our index.html. You can use the boilerplate here. And then actually inside our HTML, we are going to need a script tag. Then you need to specify the type. I got this wrong at first. It's going to be a module. And then the source attribute is just going to be our project.js. And there we go. And let's just start with our custom HTML. So our element is going to be a project card. And there we go. So we'll just leave. We're not going to pass any parameters in just yet. I'm just going to change this. Demo. All right, cool. And let me just indent all this here. All right. Okay, so in the JavaScript file, you're going to have to start with imports. So we're going to have to import our lit element module. Okay. Lit element and HTML, CSS. And then from our lit element. Okay, then you're going to need to create a class, just like in object-oriented programming. Extends lit element. Okay, so now we have our class. Now there's a couple of methods we're going to need. So we're going to static get properties. So these are going to be the variables that we're going to define. We're going to need our CSS static get styles, which is going to be our CSS, and I'm going to fill that in right now. So I have all this CSS here. Let's paste it in. Actually, I'll just oops. So I already have the CSS written out for the cards. So here is our styles. Properties, I'll go through and actually write this one out. So for the properties, you're going to want to return a list of properties here. So we're going to start with the name of the project, and the type is going to be a string. All right, and then we have our URL. This is going to be the project URL, which is the link to information or more information on the project. This is also going to be a string, and then our image URL. This is going to be either an image out on the web or image locally, and it's also going to be a string. So we are just going to return that. Perfect. All right, so now we have our properties. At the very end of the document, you actually have to inject the custom element into your HTML. So I'll show you. You use custom elements dot define. Then the first parameter that we pass into this function is going to be the name of it, and we started with project card. And then the second parameter we're going to pass in is the class. There we go. Okay. All right. Cool. So now we have we've defined our project card here, and we have our CSS. Now we need our HTML, right? So we're going to use the render function here. So now we are going to say return, and I'm actually just going to paste in all the stuff that I have in the render function here, and we're just going to be returning the HTML. I'll quickly go over the styles and what all this means here. So inside our HTML, we have a div of a card, and then we have our image here. The max width is 300 pixels, and then we are passing in. So in the source here, we're using a $sign and 2 curly braces, and saying this.image. Using the this keyword is saying, okay, this instance of the class, we want to take the image variable, right? So this keyword saying this instance of the class, it's not talking about like other instances, just the current instance that you're working with. And then we have a container div, and then inside our container we have the name. We're also saying with the $sign and the curly braces this.name, and then lastly for the link to the project, we're saying this.url. Okay, so now that we have all of this, I recommend doing a default constructor. So we'll do that real quick, and I'll just show you. I didn't take this C. Hold on. So this is a constructor. We're going to say, okay, let's grab the superclass or the parent class. Call that empty constructor, and then we are also using, or we're setting default attributes here. So these are just default attributes. So when we call in our index.html project card with no parameters, which we are, or no attributes, it's going to actually hit this default constructor and construct a image based on that. Okay, so now let's go check out what this actually looks like. So we're going to use that. Remember, we installed Polymer. We're going to say Polymer serve. Now this is going to give us a link here, which we can go and open. And here we go. So here's our default. I have an image set, and then this should just bring us to Google. Perfect. Now, let's actually pass some parameters here. So I have a Python logo here. So let's copy the image. So let's say we have a Python project, right? Let's go back to our index.html. Let's name it PY automation. Right? And then we have our image URL. We'll say image equals, and we pass in that URL. And then lastly, we are going to say link, or what was it, URL? Yeah, just URL to the project URL, and let's just set it to my GitHub. Now obviously you would link this directly to one of your projects or whatever, but let's just do it just for testing and demo purposes. Let's just send it to my GitHub. So now if we refresh this, there we go, PY automation. We have a nice image here. As you can see, when we hover on it, the shadow deepens. And let's check the project link. There we go. Just brings me to my GitHub. Perfect. All right. So now let's. The best part about web components is reuse. So let's copy our component here. And let's reuse this bad boy. Let's create a completely different project card. Right? And let's do a web component one here. A web component image. We'll be still directing it to page there. And let's do WC project, web component project. Perfect. Okay. Now, when we come back into here, bang, there we go. We have another one. And then if we really want to, we can actually, you can obviously add more CSS to format this, make it look better. But there's the basic principle. So, if I wanted to here, I could just keep copying and pasting these bad boys down, and we would have a ton of project cards. Refresh, and look at that. And if we actually inspect this, we can see that they are actually custom elements. So we got the elements, there it is, project card. Yep. Cool. So that's how you make a web component with a lit element. All links are going to be in the description. If you're having any issues or whatever, feel free to drop a comment, and I'm willing to help out. And once again, thank you for watching, and I'm out. Peace.